and good evening, good day sa ating lahat. Hello students! So you are watching my video recorded presentation for a blended teaching and learning. Now we are going to discuss about a new topic, the Philippine National Artist for Films and Theater. So I have sent you an advanced copy of my presentations about theater, and we also discussed our previous lesson. Our topic last time was all about the Philippine National Artist for Literature, for Architecture, and for now we are going to discuss about films. Okay, so when we say about films, of course, this is the productions of many teleserye, movies, dramas that we are watching right now. But then, it is also accompanied with a music. It is also accompanied with documentations, camera, photography, videography, and so on. And of course, let's not forget the integration of advanced technology right now, and even the multimedia use and ICT that we are using even right now at this generation. Okay, so let's start. So let me present to you my presentation. So please follow me and take notes for just important key points that we are going to discuss. And I use a video recorded presentation for you to watch this anytime, anywhere. And you can also replay this, forward it, and backward it. And you can send this to your classmates if they were not able to watch this, or as a reminder for them to watch this. Okay, so let's start. Okay, for national artists, let's know that we have discussed this from the previous lessons that we had. That as a national artist, you should have a significant contributions for the development of Philippine art. When we say contribution, you have to contribute it, let's say, continuously. Yan. So hindi ibig sabihin na nag-produce ka na ng isang art, then matatawag ka ng national artist. Dapat you should be continuously producing significant contributions or art forms. Yan. So it was also the time of, it was elevated to the status order in 2003. Ayan. So it is also the time of President Ferdinand Marcos, wherein in the CCP or in the Cultural Center of the Philippines, this has been administered the National Artist for Philippines. And sino again yung yung nag-proclaim? The President. So the time na nag-umpisa ang proclamation of number 1001 of April 2, 1972 was Ferdinand Marcos. And the National Commission of the Culture and the Arts too. Ayan. So sino again ang pinakaunang national artist? Ayan. So let's not forget the Filipino painter and literature, Fernando Amorsolo. So he was known as the national artist for visual arts and literature too. Ayan. So siya yung pinakaunang artist, pinakauna sa lahat ng art forms. Ayan. The next one is that let's have a short discussion or description about films. So film and broadcast arts is all about directing, writing, the manuscript or the script before you are going to take it into realization, and the production design, cinematography, editing, camera work, and performance. And of course with the use of cameras. So the first national artist for films was Lamberto V. Abellana. Ayan. So Abellana was known as the boy wonder of the Philippine movies. Paano ba siya natawag ng the boy wonder of the Philippine movies? Of course, we are going to discuss that, kung ano yung mga na-produce niyang films. And he was also known as ayan, siya yung nag-introduce to us the use of motion picture camera. When we say motion picture camera, this is it is an image or a picture or image wherein you are going to video it or record it na sunod-sunod. Let's say for example, this is a strip of paper. Ayan. So, strip of paper. Ayan. So, every pieces or every strips, every pages is may images or may naka-drawing. Ayan. And then, the videographer will record it. Ayan. Sabay-sabay. Ayan. Sunod-sunod. They're going to something like flipping the strip para parang yung isang picture is magkakasunod-sunod that it was like moving. Ayan. Yan yung parang motion picture. So, it was introduced by Abellana. And yan. During this time too, nakitaan siya ng isang president of the Philippine Films, si Carlos P. Romulo. Ayan, nakitaan siya ng kakayahan, ng potential para mag-direct ng films. Because he was also started as a, let's say, he was also started with just like actor, like that. Ayan. And he was declared on 1976. Ayan. So, despite of lack of financial support or pagkukulang sa mga kakulangan, let's say, financially, but then, nakaproduce siya ng film internationally pa yun. Again, despite of having a lacking of financial support, ayan, but then he produced an international film on he introduced an international film which was the film such as Anak Talita and Batyaw. So later on we're going to discuss what's all about Anak Talita and Batyaw. And on 1976, Abellano was named by President Marcos as the very first national artist for film. Again, sino yung pinakaunang artist sa lahat ng art forms? It is Fernando Amorsolo. But when it comes to the Philippine artist for film, it was Abellana. Okay, so don't forget that. Ayan, one of his artworks was Sakay. It was declared as the best picture of 1939 by critics and journalists alike. Ayan, so ang Sakay, for a short description about Sakay, it is a picture of Macario Sakay, who has nag-revolutionize siya or he fought against the American colonization at that time. So it was just a picture, ayan, so it was being criticized and judged by an Asian Film Festival in Hong Kong. Ayan. I mean, Sakay was declared as the best picture in 1939, and then in 1956, ayan, so the Anak Dalita was being awarded as the Asian Film Festival in Hong Kong. Ayan, and one of the best director of Asia in Tokyo for Badchao. Ayan, he was also known as best director in Tokyo, Japan, and his film was entitled as Badchao. Ayan, yung pinaka two main popular films niya. It was Anak Dalita and Badchao, and the best picture that he had is Sakay on 1939. Ayan. Abellano was also the first filmmaker to have his film Candelarong Pilak and Cannes International Film Festival. So yung Cannes International Film Festival, it was on America. Yeah. It was the film festival of the America, but then yung Candelarong Pilak has been recognized internationally, and that is in America. Yeah, so here in Philippines, we have the Asian Filipino Awards, and then dito naman sa other country, they have the Cannes International Film Festival. Ayan, ikaw ba naman yung ma-recognize is a Filipino, but then you are recognized from the other country. So it was a great pride for a Filipino. And among his films too was Sergeant Hassan, Destination Vietnam, and Evil Within. So that is all about Abellano. Now let's go with the Gerardo de Leon. So his nickname was Manong de Leon. Yeah. His nickname was Manong de Leon. Ayan, so he was an awarded film director in the history of Philippine Academy of Movie and the Art Sciences. So it was also called the FAMAS Awards. So ayan, yearly, nagkakaroon tayo ng FAMAS Awards here in Philippines, wherein ina-awardan nila yung mga best actress, best actors, ayan, best productions, ayan, best production companies, like that. So yan yung ibig sabihin ng Filipino Academy for Movie and the Arts and Sciences. Ayan. And Gerardo was one of the awarded director. Ayan. And did you know that within 3 years, imagine directing for 3 years, nagdidirect ka ng 3 years, and then you had been recognized o nakapag-produce ka ng 7 FAMAS Awards. Ayan, so it was just so incredible. From 1952 to 1971, it was 3 years back then. Then, within 3 years, nakapag-produce ka ng 7 FAMAS Awards pa. Ayan, so that is Gerardo de Leon. And he was also an actor before, but then naging film director siya. And ang profession niya nung una, he was a doctor, but then, of course, kapag mas pinipili mo yung nagpapasaya sa'yo ng puso mo, or what you really love to do is, syempre pipiliin mo pa rin. Ganyan si Gerardo. Ayan, so, though he is a doctor, but then he chose to be a film director. And he made 8 more films as an actor. So, nung actor siya nung una, nagkaroon siya ng 8 more films. And then, nung naging director siya, ayan, so yung pinaka-first na dinirect niya is yung Bahay Kubo, which was nagkaroon siya ng debut in 1939. Ayan, so yung napangasawa niya dito yung kanyang starring na si Feli Vallejo. Ayan, dito sa Bahay Kubo, yung ang starring dito ay si Feli Vallejo. Ayan, he was just an actor that time, ha? And then yung starring dito, nakasama niya is Feli Vallejo sa Bahay Kubo na title ng film nila. And isa sa mga unfinished projects niya is yung Fernando Po Jr.'s Juan de la Cruz in 1972. If you have ever watched that, it was in 1972 that nagkaroon ng film na Juan de la Cruz, di ba? It was from 1970s, and then on the 21st century, ayan, parang ang pinaka main character dito is Fernando Po Jr. And then, nung 21st century, it was, sino yung alam nyo? O sabihin nyo dyan, kahit hindi ko kayo naririnig or nakikita, sabihin nyo kung sino. It was, he is, ayan, Coco Martin. Siya yung nag-continue about the film or movie about Juan de la Cruz. Ayan, it was being unfinished projects kasi nagkaroon siya ng sakit. Nagkaroon ng sakit si Gerardo dahil he was suffering from emphysema, and yung emphysema kasi it was caused by the main cause of emphysema is smoking. Of course, kapag nag-i-smoking ka, yung matatamaan doon is yung lungs mo and even your heart. Kaya, every time na magpupunta sila sa set nila when they are going to do the film, ayan, meron silang dalang oxygen tank. Ayan, kaya hindi niya naituloy yung Juan de la Cruz na film, na project nila. Ayan, so, gusto niya sanang i-hire si FPJ, si Fernando Po Jr., si Gerardo, diba, ang actor niya dyan is si FPJ. Ayan, so si Gerardo gusto niya na si FPJ yung magtuloy ng kanyang project, but then, dinecline ni FPJ because he wants to preserve the original work of his great master and he was Gerardo de Leon. Ayan, but then, FPJ, diba, naituloy niya naman nung una, diba, naituloy niya and then, until now, it was already been, naulit na i-project ni Coco Martin. Kaya yung pinapanood natin na Juan de la Cruz, ayan, FPJ ang Provinciano, ganyan. Yun yung mga adapted movies or teleserye, what we call that, drama, movies, teleserye, na nagiging inuulit or ina-adapt ng mga kasalukuyang directors and actors. Ayan, so kaya siya tinawag na the great film director because of his numerous film. Ayan, so kabilang dito yung Touch Me Not or No Limitang Ere, di ba? It was just a book, but then it was produced through a movie or ayan, pelikula in Filipino. Ayan, meron din yung El Filibusteros Mo. Ayan, so napakarami. Yung Banawe, Esperanza, Caridad. Ito yung mga, it was just written documents or in just a books. Ayan, siya din yung mga naggumawa ng mga Pedro Penduko. Diego Silang, Sisa, from a character of, is it on the Alfredo Stories or No Limitang Here? Okay, so you can search that. Okay, so that is the numerous works of Gerardo de Leon. Napakarami. Okay, so let's go naman with the brave Lino Broca. Sinabi ko siyang brave kasi despite of his being a openly gay and openly gay, so ayan, so being a gay, it's not a hindrance for him to become a director. So for a short story about Lino Broca, ayan, so nung una, buhay pa yung father niya but then he was died because of political issues. Ayan, and then since the day naman na namatay yung father niya, ayan, kinailangan ng family niya, ng mother niya, and yung kapatid niya na makituloy muna sa bahay ng kanyang tita. But then, it was different from the life that he had before when his father was still alive. Ayan. So, nung nasa kanyang tita na yung itong si Director Lino Broca, ayan. So, syempre, nag-iba na yung panahon. Ayan, naghirap na sila. Kailangan niyang kumayod para makapagkata. Charot lang. Ayan, so kailangan ng kumayod. And then, para of course, mabuhay sila. And then, until na naging director siya, despite of being a gay. Okay, so as being a gay, many of his films incorporated as LGBT themes. When we say LGBT themes, it is more on mga sexuality themes, and more on mga issues for political and awareness and concerns, and even yung parang being a LGBTQ themes. So ngayon, yung isang example nito na alam kong isang teleserye o pelikula is yung pelikula ni Vice Ganda, which is The Private Benjamin, and the other one na pelikula na ginawa nila. Ayan, so yun yung example of a pelikula about LGBTQ themes. So it is he is the one who brought to us the pelikula To Love, na nag-start ng may mga ganyang theme of a pelikula. Ayan, so he was famously known as Lino Broca, and he was one of the Philippines' greatest auteurs. Auteurs is just same through with the term artist or producers, ayan, or director. Ayan. So he was born on Sorsogon 1931. Ito yung short story na nasabi ko kanina. Ayan, so naghirap siya, nung namatay yung father niya, naghirap sila, but then he was so hardworking to, and yung pag-hardworking niya is as an experience for him to makamit niya yung career niya as a director. And, ayan, so despite of the oppression, neglect to common citizens because nga he was a gay, and being, ayan, he was fighting off abuse from the system. Ayan, so mostly yung mga kinakas niya is, ayan, nagpupulot lang siya ng mga iba't ibang mga characters or mga iba't ibang mga actors. Ayan, so wherever they go, wherever they go sa isang setting, and then kapag nakita niya yung isang tao ng potential, and yan. So pinapasok niya kung sino-sino man. Kasi ang focus niya dito is on the story but not on the celebrity or on the actor. It is on the story. Again, he focuses on the story rather than on the director. So kabilang dito yung mga matagal niya nang kasama as actor, it was Bembol Rocco, Hilda Coronel, and Lori Gillen. Ayan. Ayan, so did you know that si Broca is a Mormon in faith, but then he was openly a gay, and the homosexual themes were often big part of narrative in his films. Ayan, so paulit-ulit lang it was all about the homosexual themes and narratives of his films. Ayan, but then parang it was being hindered, but then nakakaya naman nilang i-produce, and because it was discriminated nga kasi it was all about LGBTQ, of course that time is not that time yung generation siguro na yun is hindi pa sila open sa mga ganyang themes. But then, because it was under the Marcos dictatorship that time. Ayan, so many of his films was directed as The Wanted, Perfect Mother. And on 1994, ayan, nag-direct din siya ng Tinimbang ka ngunit kulang. It was a told story of a teenager growing up in a small town and his petty and gross injustices. Ayan, so napakarami. In 1976, ang Puko ng Liwanag, The Close of the Light. And in 1981, Broca was back on Cannes directors for Night with his third entry, Bona, a film about obsession. Ayan, that is the numerous work too about Broca, Lino Broca. Ayan, napakarami. So you can also read that if you have time. So let's just focus on the important things about Lino Broca, kung paano siya nakilala as a national artist. And these are his artworks, notable works in films. But then, for an unexpected, of course, hindi natin ang hawak ng buhay, kaya he was, on May 21, 1991, Broca was untimely death in a car accident in Quezon City. But then, nung namatay siya, nung 1991, he was recognized in 1997 as a national artist for films. That's all about Lino Broca. So let's go naman with the maestro and the genius of the Philippine cinema. Tignan natin kung paano siya tinawag ng genius of the Philippine cinema. He is Ishmael Bernal. So, Ishmael Bernal was a filmmaker of the first order and one of the very few who can be truly called maestro because maybe he was a teacher at the time. So he is recognized as a director in films that serves as a social commentaries of both reflections, existing realities of struggle of the Filipinos. So more of his themes or mga tema ng kanyang films is more on political issues and concerns, justices. Ayan. And among his notable films are Pahiram ng Isang Umaga, Broken Marriage, Himala. Himala is a popular pelikula na ang main character dito was Nora Honor. Ayan, walang himala, yun. So it is we also have here The City After Dark, The Nunal sa Tubig. Nunal sa Tubig. Ayan, paano ba siya natawag ng genius director? Of course, he won the Yorian for Best Director 4 times, for dalawang pugad, isang ibon, Broken Marriage, at yung mga nabanggit kanina. And one of his famous Best Screenplay Award was Himala. Ayan, so dinirect niya ito, and ang main character niya dito is Mrs. Nora Honor. Ayan, nanalo din siya sa CMMA Best Director Award. Ayan, so napakarami. And on 1993, he received an ASEAN Cultural Award in Communication Arts in Brunei Darussalam. And in addition to this, about Ishmael Bernal, he was being known as the genius of Philippine cinema because siya yung nagpapalaganap ng mga themes about political. Of course, hindi ka lang brave, but then you were being genius to produce about the themes of political issues and concerns here in the government of the Philippines. And most of his artworks was being so productive, like that, so napaka-organized din. As a leader and a maestro, of course, you were being systemized and known as a good director, kaya siya natawag na genius of Philippine cinema. And he was declared on 2001. And let's go with Eddie Romero. So he was the ambisyoso na Filipino artist in film. So Eddie Romero was a screenwriter, film director, and also a producer. So for his quintessential Filipino filmmaker, his life has been devoted to art and commerce of cinema, spanning 3 generations of filmmakers. And his film was Ganito Kami Noon, Paano Kayo Ngayon. So this was the title of his film na naging popular nung time or generation nila. So it was a revolution against the Spaniards. Ayan. Then later, the American colonizers. And, ayan. So, Aguilar situates a family's story against the backdrop of country's history. So, noon kasi, diba, nagkaroon ng mga Second World War, Third World War, ganon. So, that time, it was just devastation and tribulation for the Filipinos noon. Kaya, paano kayo ngayon? Kanina nyo ba tinatanong to? So, it was asked a question from the present generation. Ganito kami noon, paano kayo ngayon? So, it was just a historical theme or title. And Kamakalawa 2 is a famous film of Eddie Romero. It was the explorers of folklores of prehistoric Philippines. So it is something to do with the historical events in the Philippines. And yung Banta ng Kahapon is a political film. Banta ng Kahapon is, we can relate it from the previous decades and events sa ngayon at sa susunod pang henerasyon. Banta ng Kahapon. Kung sino yung mga tatayong pangulo, presidents, government officials, ayan. So they are one Banta ng Kahapon. And even sa mga unprecedented calamities, typhoons, and of course the second coming of Christ, Banta ng Kahapon. And Quentin Tarantino has drawn upon Romero's film, The 12 People as inspiration for the Grindhouse on Beach. Ayan, so like of what I have said before, Romero was ambitious yet practical artist and was not satisfied with dreaming up grand ideas. But then, he found ways to produce these dreams into films. Ayan, so yung pagiging ambitious mo, of course, pag ambitious ka, you will, gagawin mo yung lahat ng makakaya mo para makapag-produce ng films. And that is what considered as a director. So that is Eddie Romero, who married Carol Gonzalez, and yung partner niya na actress is Mila Del Sol, and he died on a blood clot and prostate cancer. Alam niyo na yung prostate cancer. So it was all about with the reproductive organ of a male. So he was died on May 2013. So let's go now with the famous director. He was the king of the Philippine movies, Fernando Poe Jr. or FPJ. Ayan, so he was a Roland Alan Calibo, the king, Ronnie FPJ ang probinsyano. Ayan, for a short history about FPJ, so he was forced to mag-drop out sa kanyang school or sa kanyang pag-aaral because he was pinasok siya sa isang work at the young age. And then he was then a messenger boy. A messenger boy is siya yung tagahawak ng script, siya yung laging inuutusan ng mga director, mga actors, siya yung mga tagabigay ng informasyon sa mga director. Ayan. So, but then at the early age, he was given a roles in subsequent years. Ayan, so marami siyang nagawang roles sa iba't ibang pelikula. And his first starring role in the movie was anak ni Palaris, or in English, son of Palaris, at the age of 14. But then yung movie na to, hindi siya masyadong paano ba sa Tagalog? It was not being a big hit that time, on 1957. And the movie Long Ways Gang made him popular. Long Ways Gang yung title ng movie or film kung saan doon siya nag-umpisa na maging popular. And the film was such a big hit that low waist pants became a fad. Ayan. So maraming nang nakakilala sa kanya in his role. Ayan. So like what I've said before, Poe acted in a number of movies which depicted him as the champion of the poor and downtrodden. Of course, I want to highlight here the champion of the poor because we know that he came from a poor family, kaya kailangan niyang mag-drop out sa eskwelahan para makapagtrabaho ng maaga at a young age. But then, from a poor or from rag to naging riches na siya. And he directed 9 movies, under the pseudonym Ronaldo Reyes. So Reyes originated from the surname of his paternal grandmother, Marta. Ayan, so Reyes, Alito Reyes, the Ronald Reagan, who like Poe, was an actor who was later run for president. Ayan, so nag-run din ng presidency FPJ for our information. So he established the FPJ Productions in 1961, and then meron din siyang film na companies such as Delonor, Jafir, Roses Production. In 1963, he testified against the criminal gangs. So in his production kasi, may mga gangs na nagnakaw ng mga pera ng kanilang film industry. Ayan, so we also have here The Only Brave Know Hell, a film depicting the United States and the Philippines working together against the Japanese war. Ayan. So it is a film considered as one of the most influential Filipino films. It was The Only Brave Know Hell. Only Brave Know Hell. It was a story of depicting United States and the Philippines working together against the Japanese war. Ayan. So then later on, Poe became an award-winning actor and garnered the most Best Actor awards at the Filipino Actors Movies and the Arts and Sciences. So among his movies that received awards were Mga Alabok ng Lupa, Asidilyo, Durugin si Totoy Bato, Umpisahan Mo, Tatapusin Ko, and Muslim Magno, and many more. So among his movies to include Playing Filipino, The Flavio, and even yung Panday. So siya yung naging famous doon as an actor. At the same time, he was the director at the time. So one of the mythical stories and mga epic stories of the Filipinos or mga pelikula is the mythical stories. One is Flavio, wherein you are going to be a heroic person or mga bayani ng bayan and tagapagligtas. Ayan. So ang Panday to, wherein you are going to you are a warrior, a hero and a bayani, wherein yung gamit mo doon is yung espada ni Panday. Even yung Flavio. And today, meron din tayong mythical story about Darna. And yung last movie niya was Partners. And yung partners niya doon is si Efren Batarreyes, kung saan kilala si Efren Batarreyes as the billiard champion internationally and nationally, or locally. And then, Fernando Po Jr. was the coalition of Nagkakaisang Pilipino. Ayan, so siya yung nagbumuo ng isang grupo about sa koalisasyon ng Nagkakaisang Pilipino, and he ran as a candidate on 2004 as a president against Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, but then he lost the title. And he married actress Susan Roses. His real name is Jesus Sonora. Na yung ito, nung recent time about sa ang probinsyano, meron pa siya doon si Susan Reyes. So siya yung asawa ni FPJ. At doon sa pelikula ng Ang Probinsyano, siya yung lola ni Coco Martin. Ayan, siya yung lola ni Coco Martin. And then they were married in a civil wedding in December 1968. And their best friend was the former President Joseph Estrada. Ayan. So kaya pala nung time na namatay na si Susan Roses, ayan, so her best friend and their best friend was Philippine President Joseph Estrada, the former president of the Philippines. Ayan, so as the king of the Philippine movies, of course, so we cannot replace, or until his death, we are not able to dethrone him as the king of Philippine movies. Ayan, so yung pamangkin ni Susan Roses na si Mary Grace, siya yung adopted daughter of FPJ and Susan Roses. Ayan, did you know that the real name of Fernando Po Jr. was not his real name actually? Because Fernando Po Jr. was the name of his younger brother and the late actor Andy Poe. Ayan, so that time kasi, kinailangan niyang palitan yung name niya kasi kailangan niyang mag-back out sa school nung bata pa siya. Nung pumasok siya sa industriya ng film, bata pa siya. But at that time, he decided to change his name into the name of his, from the name of his younger brother. It was Fernando Po Jr. But then it was not his real name. Ayan, he adopted his name when he entered acting. Ayan, so ang nagmamayari ng kanyang pangalan is kanyang kakabatang kapatid that time. And as you can see here, nagpatay sila ng kanyang monument which was called as the FPJ Monument in Manila. So that is Fernando Po Jr. And let's go naman with the Manuel Conde. He was known as in his screenplay name as the Juan Urbano, 1930s. So, paano nga ba siya natawag na Juan Urbano in his screen name? Kasi, Manuel Conde was not being known. Ang pinakakilala na name niya is Juan Urbano. Paano nga ba naging Juan Urbano? Of course, titingnan natin mamaya kung ano ba yung mga title ng kanya mga films. And he was made also 3 dozen films under LBN Pictures as a contract star. So, his first film was Mahiwagang Violin. And he put up his own movie company to like Fernando Po. Yeah, so nagkaroon siya ng Manuel Conde Pictures on 1947 which was produced as a classic films. So tignan natin kung paano siya natawag na Juan Urbano. So let's know his notable works. Ayan. Kaya pala siya natawag na Juan Urbano kasi mostly ng mga title ng kanyang films is started with si Juan Tamad, Juan Daldal, anak ni Juan Tamad goes to Congress, Juan Tamad goes to society, si Juan Tamad at Juan Masipag sa politikang walang hanggan, and many more. Ayan. So mostly of his films was titled as a Juan. And let's go naman with the Genghis Khan was the first Filipino film to be acclaimed as an international film festival in Venice on 1952. Ayan, so his Juan Tamad Goes to Congress is considered as the best Filipino satire ever filmed. Ayan. And was one of his unpublished or that were not pushed through because of some financial support or production problems was Sarangani. Sarangani is the film about the Ifugao Rice Terraces. Again, Sarangani is a film about the Ifugao Rice Terraces na kung saan hindi na naituloy ni Manuel Conde kasi sa kakulangan ng source of money, lacks of money, and even sa source of productions. Kaya hindi na naituloy yung film na Sarangani. And another one is about Manuel Conde is that Manuel Conde died on 1985, but then he was honored posthumously in 1920s. In 2006, the Presidential Medal for Merit. Ayan, it is about the films, and it was by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. And he was awarded posthumously the Lamberto Abellana Memorial Award by the Film Academy of the Philippines. And then on December 26, 2007, the Film Academy of the Philippines announced the winners of 25th anniversary presentation of the Luna Award before the actual awards night of the Club Filipino. Ayan, and then Lamberto Abellana and Manuel Conde was awarded back then. And ayan, so as a legacy to his first son, also known as Manuel Conde Jr., it was his son, Jun Urbano, and he became himself a film director like his father, an actor, producer, and a writer. So nung namatay yung father niya, nagkaroon ng parang theater about Conde, and ayan, so let's discuss after this. And tinawag si Jun Urbano as known as Mr. Shuli. He was a comedy series Mongolian Barbecue. So Mr. Shuli is a comedy actor. More of his series was about comedy. And ayan, yung sinasabi ko kanina that for the late father of Conde, ayan, nagkaroon sila ng small audiovisual room named after his father, Manuel Conde, and the CCP Dream, the cultural center of the Philippines, and the Dream Theater for the tanghalang Manuel Conde. And he was declared on 2009. It's just recent years after decades. Okay. So that's all about the national artists in films. And later on, we're going to discuss the national artists for theaters. So it's just a continue about film and theaters because film and theaters has the same distinctions and similarities about productions, directing, writing, and even presenting. Ayan, so, ayan, are you still there? Okay, sabihin mo nga sa sarili mo, kahit hindi kita nakikita or naririnig, I will be an author someday. Ayan, sabihin mo, I will be an author someday. Ayan. Okay, thank you for listening. And I hope that you do your activities asynchronously and smoothly. Okay, have a safe day, and you can send this to your friends. I will be sending a link of this video recorded presentation for you to watch it asynchronously.